open the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for March 24th, 2014. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll adopt an agenda. Don, any changes?
There are no changes, Mayor.
Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We've adopted the agenda. The next item is the open forum. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the council on items that are, not on the current agenda. Anybody wish to address the council? Seeing none, I'll remind for the viewing audience that a couple of meetings ago we approved a change to the process where citizens have the ability now to interact with the council in the dialogue fashion on items that are on the agenda. And we encourage citizens who are interested in items that are on the agenda, which is published on the website well in advance of the meeting, to make their voices heard by following our process. No visitor presentation tonight, I assume.
That's correct.
Next item is the consent agenda, where we approve all these items with one motion unless there's a council member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove anything? Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the consent agenda?
I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We've adopted the consent agenda. Payment of the bills. I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the claims roster of March 24th, 2014 in the amount of $315,954.73. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We've adopted the claims roster. Also included in the packet is the February month-end financial report, which really, after a couple of months, only isn't terribly informative, I don't think, but it's there for information. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up or discuss on the February financials? Seeing none, we'll move on to donations. Would someone like to make a motion, please, to accept the donations?
I move we accept donations from Excel Energy in the amount of $150 for concerts in the park, MVEC for $150 for safety camp, Relay PLLP and Scott Mannion $100 for T-ball and coach pitch, Gary and Jacqueline Kravitz $250 for the fire department, and with many thanks.
Would someone like to second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We've accepted the donations. We'll move on to new business, the appointment of committee and commission members. Don?
Mayor and members of the City Council, earlier this evening we conducted interviews for the Planning Commission, the Park and Rec Commission, as well as the Finance Committee. So tonight we're asking the City Council to appoint members to the various commissions. And the first one up for discussion is the Planning Commission. So we had 4 applicants that interviewed tonight. We have 3 positions. And those individuals who interviewed tonight were Gerald Brown, Jim Donadio, Derek Gunderson, and Debbie Kelly.
And that Jim Donadio is the very same current chair of the Planning Commission.
Correct. And Jim Donadio has been on the Planning Commission for 10 years. So he's requesting reappointment. So we're looking for direction for 3 members to the Planning Commission.
Anybody want to kick it off? Well, I will. I think Jim ought to be appointed again, and probably as chair. Jerry Brown and Derek Gunderson would be my 2. Joe?
I'm in favor of
That's fine.
Jim Donadio, Jerry Brown, and Derek Gunderson.
Mayor, motion, second, and approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll offer the position to those 3 individuals You want to talk about Debbie?
Yeah, Mayor and members of the City Council, what I'm looking at, though, is a list, and Ann, would you participate in this discussion, please? I have a list up here that says there are 5 openings on the Park and Rec Committee. Is that correct?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. That is correct.
But you're not limited to 5.
The city ordinance was changed for the planning, or for the Parks and Rec Commission about 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
They incorporated up to 9 members for that committee. I think at one time it was 7, and then we increased it to 9 about 2 years ago.
Does the 5 that you're showing as available open slots, does that take the total to 9?
Correct.
Could you take a 10th?
Based on the city ordinance, I guess you probably could make them as a non-voting member, but I'm not sure if you'd want to do that.
Yeah, Mayor, and that's what the challenge, so we had 5 individuals interview for the Park and Rec Committee. So based on the city's ordinance, it would be, without a change, it would be, I wouldn't recommend that we added an additional person to it.
Okay. Jim, you want to?
I make a motion, we accept the 5
That attended the meeting?
that attended the meeting for Park and Rec. So that would be, is it Teresa Gregory, Julie Hesse,
Hesse?
David High, Randy Miller, and Kevin Roberts.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second. I have
Any further discussion?
one quick question.
Oh,
I believe that one of the people that applied, they don't actually live in Victoria right now, but will be living in Victoria at some point. Can we actually appoint them to that position if they're not an actual resident?
Yeah, great question, Councilmember Pavelko. And do you know when Kevin's...
He indicated it was going to be June.
Is moving to June.
Okay, so it would be, his participation in the committee would be limited as a non-voting member until he actually lives here?
So
So with that, it's,
my only question would be, so what happens if, closings fall through or whatever, and that person doesn't move into the city?
isn't their appointment contingent upon them being a resident in the city?
Yeah.
If they're not a resident in the city, what do you do? Do you actually withdraw the recommendation, withdraw the offer? I mean, clearly they're not going to be on the committee if they're not a resident of Victoria.
yeah, Mayor and Council, and that was kind of the intent of raising the number of people that are on the committee. The committee can certainly function with 1 person less if Kevin doesn't move into town. And I believe, Ann, your attendance at these meetings is typically less than the full amount?
Generally speaking, yes. And I know we have appointed, we have appointed people midterm or to fill that term at a different point in time too. So if he weren't to move to the city or decline the offer, a lot of times we would just reappoint somebody else.
Mayor and Council, I believe that the initiative that this gentleman has shown to participate with, he had indicated that he's got 2 young children, he doesn't live here yet, but wants to participate in the community. I think that says a lot about what he can actually bring to the Park and Rec Committee, so we would support his nomination.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We offer the position of those 5.
Mayor and Council, the last committee that we're asking for recommendations is the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee is typically staffed with the mayor, a rotating council person, and 2 representatives from the community. So one of the representatives from the community is up for reappointment this year. He has indicated an interest in being reappointed. We also had 2 other citizens of Victoria who were interested in the position, and they were interviewed tonight. One of those individuals has a very extensive finance background, and I think, as we saw in the interview, would be a benefit to the committee. Now, the Finance Committee is not an ordinance committee, so the reason I'm bringing this up is if the City Council desired to add an additional citizen representative to the committee, they could do that tonight. Staff is recommending that Susan Lovering be appointed as kind of the third citizen representative, along with Greg Avansky, who's been on the committee. I think he's been on 4 or 5 years, and so reappointing him.
And they would join
They would join Tom Vogt.
vote, so we'd have 3 members of the Finance Committee versus 2.
2, that's correct.
I'll make a motion that we proceed as not just outlined, that we offer the position to Susan, and we now have 3 members of the Finance Committee versus 2.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll offer the position. We'll now have 3 members on the Finance Committee. Victoria Elementary?
Yeah, Mayor and members of the City Council, with the redistricting and the additional polling place that we needed to put in place last year, that was originally put in place at the St. Vic's Church. They, through a mutual understanding, they've indicated that they would seek to have us pursue an alternative precinct, and in the packet tonight is an agreement with the Victoria Elementary School, which will be our 3rd polling place. This has been approved through the state and meets the requirements from a city clerk perspective for our 3rd polling place. So we are recommending approval of the resolution authorizing that.
And for the record, the other polling place,
So we have 3 polling places. Victoria Elementary will be one. Down City Hall is one, as well as the community center.
3 polling places.
3 polling places, that's correct.
Council have questions or comments?
I move we approve resolution number 14-24, a resolution designating, the typo there, should say Victoria Elementary School as the precinct number 3 polling location.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We've approved Victoria Elementary as a 3rd polling place. Lakeside Estates, 2nd edition.
Mayor, members of the City Council, our Community Development Director, Holly Kreft, will be giving the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a final plat this evening for Lakeside Estates 2nd edition. And just to remind you, the preliminary plat and final plat were approved last year. So this is the 2nd phase, the final plat for the 2nd phase of this edition. Pulte Homes is the developer and builder. They did mass grade the entire site and have extended streets and utilities to their current extent as shown on the aerial photo. This would finish the remainder of that, the eastern portion of the development, and that would then provide sewer access, the large trunk sewer that's going through to that eastern end, and then would open up the additional property to the east to develop. This evening, Ian Peterson with Pulte Homes is here, as well as Jeff Lotion from the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission reviewed the final plat at their meeting last week. We discussed some of the extension of the streets and how that ties into the Wasserman Lake Woods property to the east. The Planning Commission also discussed the park, and that was a significant discussion as part of the preliminary plat and final plat with the 1st phase. Pulte Homes did deed Outlot A to the city at the time of the final plat for the 1st phase. This will, however, extend streets to that location, and the Park and Rec Committee has started reviewing park layouts. So Park and Rec Director and Monkey is here as well, but that process has started, and that is slated for 2015 as part of our capital improvement plan. So that was some of the discussion at Planning Commission. Planning Commission did recommend approval with the conditions noted, and I'd be happy to take any questions that you have.
Questions from council? Holly, how many units were in the first phase of final plat approval?
36, I believe.
So 36 and 44, if my math is right, is the total development would be 80 new homes.
And just to note, these are the riparian lots, so the lakeshore lots. And one is sold, and I think a couple of are under construction, and this would add 3 additional lakeshore lots. So overall, there's currently a parade home, and it seems to be doing well, so.
Can I have a motion, please, if there are no questions or comments?
I move, oh,
I'll move Resolution 14-25, a resolution approving the final plat for Lakeside Estates Second Edition.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We've approved the second edition. This may be a record. Don? Reports of the city manager?
Mayor and members of the City Council, just a quick update on the City Hall and Public Works buildings. We're out for bids right now. We will receive those bids next week. The Public Works building on Tuesday and the City Hall on Thursday. We'll be compiling the information, and as soon as we know how the bids came in, we'll certainly inform the City Council.
Roughly how long from April 1st and 3rd before you have something you can present to us?
Kara, you got any? I mean, we want to make sure that we've got things pretty well.
I'm not trying to rush you, just get a frame of reference. Is
Yeah.
it a week, 2 weeks?
Well, our plan is to have, assuming the bids come in okay, then you would start potentially awarding contracts on the April 14th meeting. And so our intention is to have that information ready for the packet, with the packet deadline of the 9th, our internal deadline. So I would think, barring any surprises, it's about a week.
The 14th, the meeting of the 14th is?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I was just going to say the April 14th meeting is going to be, there'll be a lot of items on the agenda. We're planning on having a workshop pre-council meeting to talk about long-term street maintenance and that sort of thing. We have the public hearing for the financing method, so that will be on the 14th, as well as some other items, but we'll keep the council informed.
Yeah, we'll make up for tonight, I think.
Yeah, we'll certainly make up for the time tonight, right?
Council members, any other reports? Can I have a motion, please?
Move we adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.